Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to just imagine for a second that you're sitting there in the exam hall. You know the feeling, right? The clock is absolutely ticking down, your palms are maybe a little sweaty. You flip the page of your Cambridge Information Technology paper, specifically the 9626 paper, and bam, there it is. The one question that literally strikes fear into the hearts of candidates everywhere. We're talking about an 8-mark extended response question on symmetric encryption. Look, for so many students, symmetric encryption is basically the John Wick of the syllabus. It is the absolute boogeyman of grades. It comes completely out of nowhere. It demands absolute, flawless precision. And honestly, if you aren't fully prepared for it, it will ruthlessly eliminate your chances of walking away with an A star. And here's the thing. Examiners consistently report that Section 1.3, Methods of Encryption, and we are talking specifically about symmetric or private key-only encryption here, is one of the most widely misunderstood and heavily penalized areas across the entire information technology and computer science spectrum. Honestly, it doesn't even matter which specific syllabus you're taking, whether you're sitting for 0417, 0478, 2210, 9618, or our main focus for today's explainer, 9626. The story is exactly the same every single year. Really good, smart students freeze up, they panic, and they end up losing massive marks on questions they actually know the answers to. It's frustrating to watch, but that's exactly why we're here. We are going to fix that right now, today. We're going to pull you out of your comfort zone, and we're going to teach you exactly how to push back with perfect, examiner-pleasing answers. So that brings us to the absolutely crucial question, doesn't it? Why do candidates constantly lose marks on these specific questions? What is actually going wrong in that exam hall? Well, it usually boils down to two very distinct, very dangerous traps. And to really illustrate this for you, I want to introduce you to our two test cases for today. Let's go ahead and call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is what we'd call our classic overpreparer. Alex knows literally every single tiny fact there is to know about symmetric encryption. But when Alex is faced with an actual exam prompt, panic sets in. Alex just starts dumping raw facts onto the page without any logical structure or analysis whatsoever. We call this the knowledge vomit approach, and spoiler alert, examiners hate it. On the flip side, we have Sam. Now, Sam actually knows the material pretty well, but Sam is rushing. Sam is always watching the clock and completely ignores the actual command words used in the prompt. If the question specifically says to evaluate something, Sam just describes it and quickly moves on to the next page. Sam is completely missing the actual requirements of the question and leaving massive, massive points on the table. So you see the problem here? Both Alex and Sam are working really hard, but neither of them is working smart. Today, we're going to break down exactly what they are doing wrong and more importantly, how you can completely avoid their fate. All right, so here is our roadmap for today's masterclass on unlocking those maximum method marks. We're going to quickly cover 5 things. Number 1, the challenge. Number 2, the strategy reveal. Number 3, the transformation. Number 4, an interactive workshop to test your skills. And finally, number 5, the final blueprint. Let's get moving.
Okay, starting with Section 1, the challenge. Let's take a hard look at exactly where good grades go to die. Now, what's really truly interesting about this is actually seeing this failure in real-time action. You see, you have to understand the Cambridge assessment framework. They prioritize analytical depth way, way more than superficial breadth. What does that mean for you? It means the examiner really does not care if you can list out 20 completely random facts about cryptography. They don't. What they actually care about is whether you can take 3 highly relevant facts, apply them perfectly to a specific scenario, and then analyze the outcome. So take a look at the left side here. We have Alex's answer. The question specifically asked to evaluate the use of symmetric encryption for a multinational bank. Look at what Alex wrote. It is just this massive, terrifying block of text. Alex is in there mentioning Caesar ciphers, rattling off complex algorithms, but there is absolutely zero logical structure. It is complete information overload. And worse, Alex completely forgot the context. They didn't mention the multinational bank once. Now look over on the right. Here is Sam's answer. Sam wrote, symmetric encryption is fast because it uses one key, the bank should use it. That's literally it. I mean, it's incredibly rushed. It completely misses all the required formatting. There's absolutely no supporting evidence, and it fundamentally fails the evaluate command word requirement. Because remember, evaluate demands that you look at both the strengths and the weaknesses of a scenario. So what's the result? Both of these approaches yield exactly 0 method marks. 0. Raw memorization on one side, poor time management on the other. These are your biggest enemies here.
And hey, if you don't believe me on this, let's look straight at the ultimate source. This is a direct quote pulled straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner Report for Information Technology. Listen to this. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Always define terms before using them in extended responses. Guys, this is undeniable authority speaking right to you. The very people grading your papers are practically begging you to set the baseline. One of the most fatal exam mistakes you can possibly make is assuming the examiner knows what you mean, or assuming that you don't need to state the basic facts because they just seem too obvious to you. The entire theoretical architecture of this topic rests on very precise definitions. Think about it like building a house. Before you can build the walls and the roof, you absolutely need a solid foundation, right? Well, before you can evaluate a highly complex data transmission scenario, you must define your terms. No exceptions.
So let's go ahead and establish that foundational definition together right now. What exactly is symmetric encryption? It is a method where the exact same single private key is used to both encrypt and decrypt data. That is it. That is the core fundamental principle you need to lock into your brain. You have your plain text, right? You apply the private key through an algorithm, which creates your scrambled ciphertext. Then, the person on the receiving end uses that exact same private key to turn the ciphertext back into readable plain text. Establishing this baseline fact is absolutely 100% required before any of your complex analyses even begins. Seriously, if you're writing an extended response and you do not explicitly include this fundamental definition right there in your opening paragraph, you're already dropping marks before the examiner has even read your second sentence.
Moving on to Section 2, the strategy reveal. We are going deep inside the examiner's playbook. But before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Okay, let's see what separating the A-star students from the rest of the pack really looks like. So when examiners are reading your paper, they are hunting for very specific cognitive domains. They aren't just reading for fun. First, they are looking for knowledge and understanding. That's exactly what we just did with that basic definition of the single private key. If you have that, you get the check mark. Second, they're looking for the application of principles. Can you take that definition and apply it to a real-world scenario, like a hospital database or a school network? Third is the analysis of causal relationships. This is a big one. For example, if that single private key is intercepted during transmission, what is the exact chain of effects on the data? And finally, fourth, cross-topic connections. And let me tell you, this one brilliantly illustrates the absolute secret to hitting those higher grade boundaries. The principal examiner reports explicitly highlight that candidates who reference cross-topic connections, so for example, linking the inherent vulnerabilities of symmetric encryption to broader network security protocols or malware or wider data transmission methods, those are the students who achieve significantly higher marks. You literally have to show the examiner that you understand how symmetric encryption fits into the much wider world of computer science and IT. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. Now, to reliably hit all of those cognitive domains every single time, you need a system. You can't just wing it. This right here is the method mark sequence. This procedural framework practically guarantees you marks because it literally forces you to show the examiner your working logic, step by step. Step 1, identify the key elements from the scenario given in the prompt. Step 2, apply the relevant theoretical principles to those elements, like bringing in our single private key definition. Step 3, execute your analysis with clear working. Now, this is exactly where the famous Peel framework comes into play. Have you heard of it? Point, evidence, explanation, link. It's a game changer. You make a clear point, you provide solid evidence for it, you deeply explain how it impacts the specific scenario, and then you link it right back to the original question. Step 4, verify your results. Take a breath, look at your answer. Does your conclusion actually make sense? And finally, step 5, present it in the appropriate format. If you follow this completely standardized sequence, you are essentially grabbing the examiner by the hand and leading them directly to the marks you deserve. And let's talk about that step 5 for a second, because presentation is huge. The presentation of your information absolutely must follow strict conventions. We're talking about using proper headings and using the correct terminology. Listen, never just say the word key, ever. Always specify private key or single private key. Use appropriate data formats and clear annotation. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, hold on, it's a computer science exam, not an art class. Why in the world does my presentation matter? I'll tell you why. It matters because the grading framework demands it. Missing these strict formatting conventions directly hemorrhages easy, low-hanging marks. Plus, think about the psychology of the examiner. A beautifully formatted answer with clear, distinct headings shows the examiner exactly where your brilliant points are located. It massively reduces the cognitive load for the poor person who has been marking papers for 8 hours straight. When you make their job easy, trust me, they find it much, much easier to award you the points. All right, section 3, the transformation. We are going to turn those red pen marks into beautiful green check marks.
But first, stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to at acexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions.
Okay, so before we actually rewrite an answer together, we need to know exactly what traps to avoid. Here are the top 3 examiner warnings pulled straight out of the principal examiner reports. Number 1, confusing cause and effect. This is so common. For instance, students will often confidently write that symmetric encryption is insecure because the algorithm itself is weak. False. Absolutely false. The algorithm is usually incredibly strong. The actual insecurity comes from the cause of having to physically share that single key over a network, which then leads to the effect of potential interception by a third party. Do you see the difference? Number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation, which we literally just discussed. Don't do it. And number 3, providing answers that are not specific to the given context. Look, if the exam question is specifically asking about a multinational bank, and you write a highly generic answer about sending an email to your friend, you are going to lose marks. Context is literally everything in these extended responses.
Let's actually look at this transformation happen right on the screen. Let's say the exam question asks you to explain a drawback of using symmetric encryption for a bank's global branches. Okay, on the left we have our typical flawed answer. Symmetric encryption is bad because hackers can easily steal the data when it is sent. Ouch. This completely confuses cause and effect. It entirely lacks the correct terminology. Notice there's no mention of a private key, and it completely ignores the bank context. The examiner is just putting red pen all over that. Now look at the perfect A-star answer on the right. We are going to actively apply the Peel framework here. Point. A major drawback is the key distribution problem. Evidence. Symmetric encryption requires both the sender and receiver to possess the same single private key. Explanation. Because the bank has global branches, securely transmitting this single key across vast, potentially unsecure networks to remote offices creates a high vulnerability to interception. Link, therefore, while the encryption itself is fast, the logistical risk of key distribution makes it highly challenging for a widely dispersed global bank. Boom! Green checkmarks across the board. We have clear causality, highly specific terminology, and deep, meaningful contextual application. That is how it's done. All right, moving into Section 4, our interactive workshop. It's time for you to deconstruct, solve, and evaluate.
Okay, I want you to imagine a 60-second timer is ticking down right now. Your energy is high, your focus is razor sharp. To survive that intense time pressure in the exam hall without panicking like Alex or rushing like Sam, you absolutely must rely on this definitive problem-solving framework. Step 1. Identify the given information. Ask yourself, what is the scenario? Are we dealing with a bank, a small school, a localized network? Pin it down. Step 2. Break the problem into logical steps. Look at the prompt. What are the exact command words? Are you being asked to evaluate, explain, describe? Those words dictate your entire answer. Step 3. Solve systematically. This means deploying our PEL structure. Point, evidence, explanation, link. Every single time. Step 4, check for reasonableness. Read your paragraph back. Does your answer actually solve the core problem posed in the prompt, or did you go on a tangent? Step 5, make justified recommendations. If the question asks for a conclusion, your recommendation absolutely must be justified by the concrete evidence you provided in Step 3. You cannot pull a conclusion out of thin air. You guys must use this exact sequence when speed writing your perfect Peel paragraphs under pressure. It completely removes the panic and replaces it with a reliable process. And hey, speaking of evaluation, we really need to address the absolute biggest trap in critical analysis. When a command word asks you to compare or evaluate symmetric encryption against, say, asymmetric encryption, top-tier critical analysis demands that you examine both similarities and differences. You can't just pick one. Look at the slide here. On the left, we are evaluating similarities. When you do this, you must use clear comparative connectives. Words like similarly, likewise, or phrasing it like both methods utilize buh. Now, on the right, we have differences. Here, you need to use connectives like conversely, whereas, or in contrast. Top-scoring candidates constantly demonstrate true evaluative thinking by questioning assumptions, considering completely different perspectives, and justifying their decisions with hard evidence on both sides of the coin. Listen to me. If you only write about the differences and completely ignore the similarities, you are literally leaving half of your potential marks behind. It's that simple. We've made it to Section 5, the final blueprint. It is finally time for total exam mastery. Let's bring it all together. So, here is your final blueprint.
If you remember nothing else, remember these 3 mark-winning rules. Rule 1, command word and terminology decoding. Always define your core terms, like explicitly stating it's a single private key, and actively tailor the depth of your answer to the specific command word used. Rule 2, standardized 5-step execution. Use the PEAL framework, point, evidence, explanation, link, to structure every single extended response you write, so the examiner can clearly and easily see your logic. Rule 3, contextual comparative analysis. Never, ever give a generic textbook answer. Always tie your response directly back to the specific scenario in the prompt. And when you're evaluating, make sure you compare both similarities and differences with clear connective evidence. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to acetheexams_IGCS and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by.
Now, I really want to hear from you. Take a look at the question on the screen right now. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing right now, whether it's understanding symmetric encryption, dealing with databases, or just plain old time management. Our team responds to every single comment, and we seriously want to help you smash those targets. Don't forget to like and share this video with a study partner who really needs it. Remember, guys, when you are pushed out of your comfort zone, you push back with perfect answers. Because at the end of the day, in the real world, just like in the exam hall, a lost key means a lost system. Ace the Exams, your Cambridge success starts here.